Alright, what is up, you guys? I'm here with the Summerslam 2018 pay-per-view review. I have a whole list of pay-per-views that were requested, and I'm going to get through those, I promise. But right now, let's go with the kind of the fresh pay-per-view on everyone's minds when it comes to WWE, at least. We have SummerSlam 2018. I was able to be there along with 16,169 fans in attendance at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. The theme songs we had were Burn the House Down by AJR and then Sweet Sensation by Flo Rida, who it seems like he has a theme song at least twice a year at this point. So, when it comes to the pre-show matches, I'm not going to get into these too heavily. They were pretty average, honestly. First, we had Almaz and Vega defeating Lana and Rusev in 7 minutes in a mixed tag match. As usual, I'm going to give every match a star rating, and then the show overall a letter grade. This match, I'm going to get right to it. I'm going to give 1 star. This literally was the most average wrestling match you could possibly have. And it's unfortunate because Rusev, the crowd loved him in this match. He got a huge pop, and it's just, he went from the main event not the main event, but WWE title match at Extreme Rules, and now he's just on the first match of the pre-show SummerSlam. So 1 star for that one, very average match. And then we have Cedric Alexander and Drew Gulak for the WWE Cruiserweight Championship, and this match lasted 10 minutes and 15 seconds. Kind of very predictable pre-show matches here, but Cedric Alexander retained the title. And this one, only lasting 10 minutes, we can't really do much in 10 minutes, especially when you're, going for the Cruiserweight title. This one I would give 3 stars. Really, your average Cruiserweight match, I feel like it'd be nice to actually see a Cruiserweight title match on the main card and get some time. But, like I said, it is what it is, pre-show matches. The third one, we had the B Team versus the Revival for the Raw Tag Team Championships. A lot of people were surprisingly into this one. I guess the B Team are kind of over. I'm not a fan of them. But we had B Team and the Revival. I would give this one, honestly, 1.5 stars. To me, you had the wrong people go over. They're obviously not Tag Team Champions now that Ziggler and McIntyre beat them. But it would have been nice to see the Revival go over. But at this point, I think the Revival's just kind of dead. It sucks, because I was actually a fan of them. So, when we get to the actual card here, we have Seth Rollins with Dean Ambrose versus Dolph Ziggler with Drew McIntyre for the Intercontinental Championship. This was 22 minutes long exactly, and we saw Seth Rollins retaining the title in a very good match. I would honestly give this one 4 stars. It had a great crowd participation. You had some great spots. You had kind of some good interaction with Dean Ambrose and McIntyre, working them in. And this one had a lot of false finishes. Some people might see that as a problem. Some people, it's all a matter of opinion. I think it did have a lot of false finishes, but not necessarily for the bad. But we had, Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler, they're going to have a good match. And I thought this was better than their Extreme Rules match. Next up, we had the New Day defeating the Bludgeon Brothers for the tag team titles. And no, the titles did not exchange hands because it was a disqualification. I was actually kind of getting into this match. I really was. And, it was a DQ finish, which was unfortunate. But if I had to give this match a rating, I'd go 3.25 stars. I was really excited to see the finish to this one, so it was really disappointing. I'm just like, this is going really well, and a lot better than I thought. And, it was very fast-paced, very hard-hitting, so I couldn't wait to see who was actually going to go over. But, of course, we had the hammer shot for the disqualification, unfortunately. And, obviously, the next Tuesday, we had new tag team champions. So, to me, it was just kind of worthless. Why not just have the New Day go over at SummerSlam. You want that big pay-per-view moment. Just have the titles change hands. I don't like these disqualifications on the pay-per-views. That's just me personally. And that's not the only DQ that we saw that night. So next up, we had Braun Strowman versus Kevin Owens singles match for Strowman's Money in the Bank contract. So whoever won would be the Money in the Bank briefcase holder. And this did not go how a lot of people thought. The match only lasted 1 minute and 50 seconds. Basically, we saw Braun Strowman come in, manhandled Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens took a pretty big bump on the outside ramp, and it was a squash match. 1 minute and 50 seconds, which I really wasn't happy about. I actually kind of looked forward to maybe like a 10-minute match, or even Kevin Owens going over. Kind of your surprise finish there. But, in the end, Braun Strowman, I guess it was just to make him look strong. Kind of feel bad for Kevin Owens because I'm a Kevin Owens fan. I think he's a great heel when he's allowed to be. And I think he has great in-ring psychology. And I think at the end of the day, I think Kevin Owens should have won over this. But whatever. Of course, we have Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns in Hell in a Cell next. So that's not the last we saw of Braun Strowman. We will get to that. But this match, if I had to rate it 1 star, and the only reason I give it that high of a grade is because of Kevin Owens' bump. He's been taking some wicked bumps lately. Money in the Bank, he went off the ladder. He went off the cage at Extreme Rules. So, credit to Kevin Owens. Next up we had, in 15 minutes and 15 seconds, Charlotte Flair becoming the SmackDown Women's Champion. I was very happy. I'm a big Charlotte fan. And this was a triple threat match with Becky Lynch and Carmella as well. And Carmella was the defending champion. I think everyone kind of knew Carmella wasn't walking out of this. This was kind of your average triple threat match, to be honest. Going in, I wasn't expecting too much, but it was good. I'm a big fan of triple threat matches. There's ways to do it, and there's ways not to do it. But this one, once again, had a lot of false finishes. We had some good bumps to the outside of the ring from the top rope. And of course, we had kind of the big psychological aspect of all of this was the relationship between Charlotte and Becky Lynch. And of course, we had Charlotte Flair win the match. And for the match itself, I would give it probably 3 1/4. And I think that's a good rating for it. It was your good average triple threat match. And then afterwards, of course, we had the Becky Lynch heel turn. Although the crowd didn't accept it as a heel turn, the crowd cheered wildly for this. And she basically just beat the living shit out of Charlotte Flair for a little while. And, I think we all kind of saw this coming. It was either Becky Lynch wins, gets that moment, or she loses and gets that heel turn. And obviously we got the latter. Next up, we had Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles singles match for the WWE Championship. The match I was looking forward to the most. This match lasted 22 minutes and 45 seconds. And I actually really enjoyed this until the finish. I love the storyline. They're making it really personal, making it sort of gritty. And then, I think the match started out pretty slow. Kind of normally how your AJ Styles matches go. They start slow, picks up the pace very gradually, which I like. I'm a huge AJ Styles fan. I'm also a huge Samoa Joe fan. So I'm just like, I didn't really know who to pick personally. But I know the original finish was supposed to be Samoa Joe winning the title. And which I think would have been kind of a shock because a lot of people didn't see that happening. So I think that was just kind of a wasted opportunity. Even if you're just going to give AJ Styles back the title at Hell in a Cell or Super Showdown, it would have been nice to see Samoa Joe at least have his one, Big Four pay-per-view win, winning the title. But, the pace really started to pick up. We had, a lot of finishers. We even had a tease at the Muscle Buster, which was cool. But Samoa Joe, he went out, he got on the mic, and of course AJ Styles' wife and daughter were there. And of course we had the Samoa Joe heel promo, which was gravitated towards AJ Styles' wife. And of course AJ Styles just lost his temper, got the chair out, went nuts, and we had the disqualification. Very disappointing match ending in my opinion, especially since this was the second DQ match for a title match at Summerslam. It was just kind of weird. Not many people really knew what to think at first. I just wasn't expecting a disqualification there. But obviously it was just to advance the story forward. This match, I'm going to give 4 1/4. I really enjoyed it for what it was. Obviously, if we had a better finish, it would have been rated possibly 4.5 or maybe even higher depending on the finish. So next up, we had the highly anticipated match, at least for me, The Miz versus Daniel Bryan. Finally, the big payoff to this storyline. This match was the longest match of the night at 23 minutes and 30 seconds. And another kind of screwy finish. At least it wasn't a DQ. But this match, I'm going to give a straight 4 stars. I really enjoyed this match. At some points, yeah, it was kind of slow-paced. But it's The Miz and Daniel Bryan. This is kind of a slow-building rivalry. So I don't think it should just go to hell, in one match. I think it should be a slow build. So I think this match did what it had to do to advance the storyline. And of course we had Maurice at ringside, and we're like, oh, of course she's going to come into play. She gave The Miz brass knuckles, hits Daniel Bryan with it, gets the pin. I'm glad The Miz went over. I am. Not exactly the way I wanted. I was kind of hoping for a clean finish for this one. But straight 4 stars. This did exactly what it had to do to get us to where we needed to be next in this rivalry, which is the mixed tag match at Hell in a Cell, which I'm assuming Daniel Bryan's going to win, and then we'll get probably the rubber match. So this was a good first match in a series of matches. You can't expect this to be the 5-star classic. So next up, we have Nakamura versus Jeff Hardy. No, before that we had Finn Balor and Baron Corbin. I almost completely forgot. Such a short match. Finn Balor versus Baron Corbin, 1 minute and 35 seconds. I don't think anyone really asked for this match, but in response to that, I think they brought back the Demon character. Obviously, this was a match no one really asked for, another one. So I'm assuming that's why they brought back the Demon, to make it a little more interesting, and obviously turn it into a squash match. But it was really cool to see the Demon, because we hadn't seen him since October at TLC last year. So it was really cool to see the Demon come out, especially seeing it live. It was really cool. The crowd really got woken up by this, because the crowd's been dead half the show at this point. Unlike TakeOver, where the crowd was just insane. So you could see a very clear difference in the crowd. But we had Finn Balor defeating Baron Corbin, 1 minute and 35 seconds. Honestly, I'd probably give this match 1.5 stars. It was cool to have the Demon back, but, obviously it's a squash match. You can't really go any higher than that. But for what it was a really cool moment. Then we had Shinsuke Nakamura versus Jeff Hardy for the WWE United States Championship. This match lasted exactly 11 minutes and kind of went the way everyone thought it would. We had Nakamura retaining the title, and really, I thought this was a good match. A lot of people kind of received it a little less than I did. I'm going to give it 2.5 stars. I thought it was good for what it was. I see a lot of people rating it 2 stars or below. I enjoyed this, and especially to see For me personally, this was kind of a dream match. I grew up loving Jeff Hardy, so I always wanted to see Nakamura and Hardy at least once, one-on-one. So it was cool. You know, if it never happens again, cool. We at least had it for 11 minutes. And, you know, really this was cool for the meeting of the minds. You had Jeff Hardy mocking Nakamura, and you actually had a surprising swanton kick out, which I actually didn't really expect. But, you know, of course Nakamura went over. Pretty much everyone thought that. Jeff Hardy doesn't need the title, so I think Nakamura can do good things with the United States title. And as his heel character, of course we saw him try to go for the low blow, and it wasn't successful. Next up, we had the the Raw Women's Championship. Ronda Rousey defeating Alexa Bliss by submission at exactly 4 minutes. But we also had the return of Natalya. She got a pretty big pop. They gave her her own entrance, which was cool. She had her father's jacket on. So I'm actually glad they gave her her own little entrance. She kind of deserves it for her father and everything. So I like that little touch they gave. But this was actually more of a squash than I thought it was going to be. This was more about the cowardice heel persona of Alexa Bliss, of course. But, you know, the crowd was kind of iffy on Ronda winning. I personally think it's too soon for her to be champion, but oh well. This match, honestly, I'd give 2 stars. I don't think it deserves any more than that. It was really just to make your new women's champion look strong. And I'm assuming Ronda Rousey's going to be carrying the Raw Women's division for the foreseeable future. And you also had the Bella Twins. I think we all know where that's going. The Nikki Bella heel turn at Super Showdown. And then you'll have Nikki Bella going up against Ronda Rousey at the Evolution Women's pay-per-view. So, obviously, I think they were planting the seeds for that one here. And then finally, your main event, very strange main event, Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar for the WWE Universal Championship. This one was interesting to me, because I'm like, they're going to have to pull something so this crowd does not riot or leave. There was one beach ball that I saw, and there wasn't much time for the crowd to riot or leave, because immediately, right before the match is going to start, we have Braun Strowman's music hitting. He comes out and basically says he's not going to be a coward. Whoever wins is going to get the hands, basically. So we had 6 minutes and 10 seconds of kind of back and forth, and then Roman Reigns eventually wins. And Brock Lesnar, he's on his way out, obviously. I didn't see Brock Lesnar winning at all whatsoever. But then, during the match, Brock Lesnar went out, attacked Braun Strowman, threw the briefcase up and hit the stage. So I'm like, okay. So that's just a way to get him out of the match for interference reasons. And then he'll eventually just pop back up and cash in. And I thought they were doing this to make it a little more even for him and Roman Reigns, because Braun Strowman's now hurt, and then Roman Reigns would obviously be tired from the match. So I thought they were just doing that to even it out. But no, that's not the case. The pay-per-view literally ended with Roman Reigns winning the title, and then Braun Strowman just laying there. No cash in. So, we see what you did, Vince. It's a genius, but also a dick move. It was damage control. It was a way to get the fans to not riot and leave without actually doing anything. The fans did not go home happy, unfortunately. Outside, people were pissed. People were yelling, screaming, pissed off. Me personally, I'm just like, oh, that was just stupid. You know, I wasn't like pissed or anything, but it just felt really weird and unnecessary. Like, why even bother? But overall, I would give this overall show kind of a tough letter grading for me. But I'm going to give it I'm going to give it a C. It was either that or a C+. I think I'm going to go a C. We had some good matches. You had, in my opinion, 2 4-star matches, slightly above. And, you know, my biggest problem with this pay-per-view was the ending. And, you know, you're trying to fit everyone on the card. And in doing that, you have 13 matches. Some of those are going to have to be a waste. Like Finn Balor and Baron Corbin, Braun Strowman and Kevin Owens. My opinion, I'd rather see 8 really good matches than 13 low quality, kind of just their matches. You know, I prefer, you know, kind of like what All In did. But, yeah, let me know what you thought of this pay-per-view overall. I gave it a C. Let me know what your grade would be and some of your star ratings. Hope you guys enjoyed. This has been the DVD Freak. Peace out.